He won't leave you alone. It doesn't matter what you do. He calls on the phone late at night. When you get up in the morning to go to work, he's outside your house waiting for you in his car. No matter what you do, the police don't seem to be able to catch him doing anything that violates the law. How do you get your sanity back? In just a moment, I'll tell you. Hi, my name is Tony DeWitt. I'm a Missouri attorney. I practice in the area of appellate law, and on this channel, I'm going to answer common questions that arise in the course of everyday dealings. What follows is not legal advice. In order to get legal advice, you need to sit down with an attorney, tell him what the issue is, and seek out his advice. Only a lawyer in your jurisdiction can give you legal advice. Nationally, about 1 in 5 women and 1 in 7 men report that they have been the victims of physical violence from an intimate partner. That's a pretty sobering statistic. How do you prevent that violence? Well, one way is to take advantage of the services that are offered by your local circuit or district court to get what's called either an order of protection or a temporary restraining order. Essentially, this process works in a very simple way. You make a trip to the courthouse, you talk to the clerk. In most cases, the clerk will help you fill out the paperwork. You explain to the judge what's going on and why you're afraid. And generally speaking, if the judge agrees, he issues an order of protection. Now, that's not the end of the story, because under our due process system, the other side gets a vote too. So the person against whom an order of protection is taken out will of course have an opportunity to come into court and say, hey, I didn't do those things. And so it's important to have evidence, and particularly if you've been hit or hurt, to have photos of that. If you have witnesses, it's a good idea to bring witnesses. Perhaps your next door neighbor saw him waiting for you outside your house. So all of those things go together to get the first order, and then at trial, there will be a trial, usually within 10 to 30 days. The court will schedule a hearing to determine whether or not to make the order of protection for 180 days. Sometimes it can go even longer, 270 days. It all depends on your state's law. Either way, you have the opportunity to get an order that protects you from harassment and from stalking by individuals. All that piece of paper does is it gives your sheriff's office or police a document to rely upon to stop harassment if you call and report it. So if he violates a protection order, or she violates the protection order, as the case may be, then you report it to the police investigate, and if they can substantiate it, then the violation of the protective order can result in a contempt citation in some courts, and it can result in criminal charges in other courts. It just depends on what your state's law is. As I always tell you, this is not legal advice. This is simply a report on what options are available to people who suffer from this problem. If you need legal advice, you have to see a lawyer in your jurisdiction who is really the only person who can help you with a problem like this if, for whatever reason, the court is unable to grant your motion for protective order or for protection from abuse and stalking. Well, the other side of the coin is equally disturbing, and that is a piece of paper is as much protection as a piece of paper is, meaning it gives the police the power to arrest somebody if they violate the order, but you can't hold it up in front of someone and make them stop hitting you. There are numerous other remedies that you can pursue to prevent domestic violence. But probably the most important is to remove yourself from the situation, particularly if you are in an intimate relationship with someone, you live in the same house with them, and they continually harm you. In that situation, you need to get out of that house. When you find other lodging, then you need to make sure that you put an alarm system in. There are some excellent alarm systems that don't require you to have a wiring company come wire them. Simply Safe is an excellent alternative in this regard. I'm not endorsed by Simply Safe, and I do not necessarily endorse their product, but I will tell you that I have Simply Safe. I've had it for about 9 months now, and it works pretty darn good. So, with that said, I think it's important to understand that domestic violence is a serious problem, and that orders of protection, temporary restraining orders, are one way that you can help protect yourself, but they are certainly not the only way that you can protect yourself. I hope you found this presentation on orders of protection and domestic violence useful. If you had, please consider hitting the like button down below and also hitting the subscribe icon, and click on that bell so that you'll be notified whenever I post another video. Thank you and have a great evening.